Section 05. What the thunder said. Line no 01 to 09. After the torchlight red on sweaty faces. After the frosty silence in the gardens. After the agony in stony places. The shouting and the crying. Prison and palace and reverberation. Of thunder of spring over distant mountains. He who was living is now dead. We who were living are now dying. With a little patience. Explanation. The opening lines of this section of The Waste Land present a stark contrast between the chaotic violence of the past and the silent emptiness of the present. The use of the word torchlight suggests a scene of destruction and upheaval, while the phrase frosty silence creates an atmosphere of stillness and desolation. This contrast between noise and silence, movement and stillness, serves to emphasize the enormity of the event that has taken place and the sense of loss that the speaker is feeling. The next line, after the agony in stony places, reinforces the sense of pain and suffering that the speaker is describing. The phrase, stony places, suggests a sense of hardness and inflexibility, further emphasizing the difficulty of the situation. The following line, the shouting and the crying, reinforces the sense of chaos and turmoil, suggesting that the event was not only violent, but emotionally intense as well. The line, prison and palace and reverberation, is particularly interesting. The use of the word, reverberation, suggests that the effects of the event are still being felt long after it has ended, and that the trauma is continuing to reverberate through society. The reference to prison and palace suggests that even the structures of power and authority have been affected, further emphasizing the scale of the event. The final two lines of the passage, he who was living is now dead, we who were living are now dying, serve as a powerful reminder of the fragility of human life and the inevitability of death. The use of the word dying suggests a gradual process of decay and decline, further emphasizing the sense of loss and grief that the speaker is feeling. The final line, with a little patience, is perhaps the most interesting of all. On one level, it can be seen as a simple statement of fact. The speaker is acknowledging that it will take time to come to terms with the loss and trauma that they have experienced. However, the phrase, a little patience, also suggests a sense of hope, as though the speaker is trying to find some way to move forward in the face of such devastation. In this sense, the line serves as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. Overall, these lines are a powerful meditation on the nature of trauma and loss, as well as the resilience and hope that can emerge in the aftermath of such events. The vivid and evocative language creates a sense of atmosphere and emotion, while the repetition of certain words and phrases serves to emphasize the central themes of the poem. Eliot's skillful use of imagery and language serves to capture the complexity of human experience, even in the face of tragedy. Line number 10 to 18. Here is no water but only rock. Rock and no water and the sandy road. The road winding above among the mountains. Which are mountains of rock without water. If there were water we should stop and drink. Amongst the rock one cannot stop or think. Sweat is dry and feet are in the sand. If there were only water amongst the rock. Dead mountain mouth of carious teeth that cannot spit. Explanation. The lines are taken from the poem, The Waste Land, by T.S. Eliot and serve as a powerful depiction of the bleak, barren and inhospitable landscape that the travelers are journeying through. The first line, here is no water but only rock, is a straightforward statement that sets the tone for the rest of the poem. The repetition of rock emphasizes the barrenness of the landscape, and the absence of water creates a sense of desperation and isolation. The second line, rock and no water and the sandy road, further reinforces the sense of barrenness and difficulty in traveling through the landscape. The reference to the sandy road suggests that the journey is long and arduous. The third line, the road winding above among the mountains, evokes a sense of isolation and loneliness. The use of the word above suggests that the travelers are at a higher elevation, making them even more vulnerable and exposed. The fourth line, which are mountains of rock without water, reinforces the sense of barrenness and desolation. The use of the word mountains emphasizes the enormity of the landscape, making the travelers feel small and insignificant. The fifth and sixth lines, if there were water we should stop and drink, amongst the rock one cannot stop or think, further emphasizes the traveler's desperate need for water. The phrase, one cannot stop or think, suggests that the harshness of the environment has stripped the travelers of their ability to think and reason. The seventh line, sweat is dry and feet are in the sand, creates a powerful image of the traveler's struggle. The use of the word dry emphasizes the sense of scarcity and deprivation. The final line, if there were only water amongst the rock dead mountain mouth of carious teeth that cannot spit, creates a sense of disgust and horror. The phrase, dead mountain mouth, evokes an image of a desolate and inhospitable landscape, and the use of the word, carious, further emphasizes the sense of decay and death. Overall, these lines serve as a powerful metaphor for the human condition. The travelers represent humanity's struggle to survive in a hostile and inhospitable world, and the landscape represents the challenges and obstacles that we must face in our journey through life. The language and imagery used in the poem create a vivid and evocative portrait of a landscape that is both beautiful and terrifying, and that speaks to the deepest fears and hopes of the human spirit. Line number 19 to 24. Here one can neither stand nor lie nor sit. There is not even silence in the mountains, but dry sterile thunder without rain. There is not even solitude in the mountains, but red sullen faces sneer and snarl from doors of mud-cracked houses. Explanation. These lines are taken from the poem, The Wasteland, by T.S. Eliot, and like the previous lines, they depict a harsh and inhospitable landscape. The first line, here one can neither stand nor lie nor sit, creates a sense of instability and discomfort. The repetition of nor emphasizes the limitations and lack of options in the environment. The second line, there is not even silence in the mountains, creates a sense of unease and tension. The absence of silence suggests that something unsettling or dangerous may be lurking in the landscape. The third line, but dry sterile thunder without rain, creates a sense of frustration and disappointment. The use of the words, sterile, and, without rain, emphasizes the sense of scarcity and deprivation that characterizes the landscape. The fourth line, there is not even solitude in the mountains, reinforces the sense of isolation and vulnerability. The phrase suggests that even in the absence of other people, there is no sense of peace or safety. The fifth and sixth lines, but red sullen faces sneer and snarl from doors of mud-cracked houses, create a sense of danger and hostility. The use of the words, sneer, and snarl, suggests that the inhabitants of the landscape are not friendly or welcoming, and the image of mud-cracked houses reinforces the sense of decay and deprivation. Overall, these lines serve as a powerful depiction of the harshness and hostility of the landscape, and the sense of isolation and vulnerability that characterizes human existence. The repetition of negative phrases emphasizes the sense of scarcity and deprivation, and the hostile imagery creates a sense of danger and unease. Together, these lines form a powerful metaphor for the human condition, and the struggles and challenges that we must face in our journey through life.